I stared at the screen for a long time. My coffee went cold. My hands were trembling, but not from surprise. It was from confirmation. There she was, my sister, smiling in white lace, surrounded by roses and laughter. Her head tilted back as her new husband kissed her cheek. Everyone we ever knew was in that photo. Everyone, except me. I wasn't invited to the happiest day of her life. I wasn't even acknowledged. And what made it worse? I wasn't surprised. My name is Claire, and I'm 34 years old enough to know that silence can scream louder than words. I was once her maid of honor in every dream we had. Then she married my high school bully and erased me completely. We used to plan our weddings together, you know. We made veils out of pillowcases, danced in the backyard barefoot, and said things like, if we marry on the same day, we'll share the venue. I was the older sister by 2 years, but she was always the brighter flame, and I never minded flickering behind her. We even recorded a cassette tape when we were 10 and 12. It was silly, high-pitched, and precious. On it, we swore, no man will ever come between us, and we'll walk each other down the aisle, no matter what. Forever sisters, forever best friends. It hurts more when people break promises they made as children, because back then, they really meant it. Things didn't start to unravel all at once. It wasn't a clean tear, it was a slow rot. It began with a boy, Liam. He transferred to our school in junior year, all perfect hair and fake smiles. The kind of guy who flirted with teachers and cheated on tests. He also made my life hell. He spread a rumor that I had a thing for one of the gym teachers. Said I'd been caught doing things in the locker room I absolutely hadn't. It ruined me. People looked at me differently for months. My reputation tanked. I skipped prom because I couldn't stand the whispers. And when I found out it was Liam behind it, I confronted him. He laughed, said it was just a joke, said, you should have taken it as a compliment. I never forgot that smirk. So, when my sister started dating him 2 years later, yes, 2 years, I thought it was a cruel coincidence, but it wasn't. I remember the first time I tried to tell her, we were having lunch, just the two of us. She looked happy, glowing even, and I, being the cautious, protective big sister, said, just be careful with Liam. He's not who you think he is. She put her fork down slowly and looked me in the eye. You've always hated guys I liked. Just admit it. You're jealous. That word, jealous. She used it like a knife. I didn't say anything after that. I didn't go digging. I didn't bring it up again. Because when someone you love chooses not to believe you, no amount of proof can change their mind. But it got worse. At a family dinner one summer, Liam was there, seated like a golden boy at the head of the table. I brought up the past, gently. I tried to sound neutral. Funny how life works. A guy who once wrecked my entire school year is now sitting at our dinner table. My father's expression changed instantly. Are you seriously bringing that up now? Let it go. My sister didn't even flinch. She kept cutting her steak. My mother gave me that tight-lipped smile that always meant, don't embarrass us. That night, I cried in my car. Not because of what they said, but because they didn't care. A week later, I went back to our parents' house to pick up a box of my old books. As I walked in, I heard voices in the kitchen. I stopped, listened. My mother was whispering to my father, if we don't exclude her, she'll ruin the whole wedding. It's her or the ceremony. And just like that, I knew. They'd made their choice. I wasn't even worth pretending for. The invitation arrived a few days later. Well, not for me. For them. My parents opened it like nothing was wrong, gushed over the gold embossing, laughed about the catering options. When I asked if there was another envelope, one with my name, they just looked at me. Then, hours later, a message came from my sister, just one. I just want peace at my wedding. Please understand, no call, no explanation. No apology, just a sentence that might as well have read, you're not welcome here. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. Because when a family chooses silence over you, When your sister marries your bully and then sides with him over blood, you stop begging to be understood. You start planning what you'll do with the silence they left you. And as I sat there staring at her perfect wedding photo, I realized something. She thought she had erased me. But sometimes the absence is louder than the presence, and I was about to prove it. Some people send crystal vases or gift cards. Some show up with speeches and champagne flutes. Me, I sent silence, packaged in ribbon, sealed with memory, because if I wasn't going to be at the wedding, I was still going to be there. Not as a guest, not as a sister, but as a mirror. It started with the shoebox. I hadn't touched it in years. It sat in the back of my closet like a tomb, full of dead things that once lived inside me. When I opened it, the smell of time hit me. Old paper, dust, childhood. The first thing I found was the bracelet, pink and purple thread worn down, the silver charm cracked in half. We made it during a summer blackout. She tied mine so tight I had to cut it off 6 months later. We swore we'd wear them to each other's weddings. She forgot. I didn't. Next came the photograph, creased and slightly stained. It was the three of us, me, her, and Liam. Only, I was barely in it. His arm stretched out across the frame, practically covering my face. That photo used to bother me. Now, it was the perfect metaphor. Then came the cassette. Our childhood voices, full of promise and sugar. We'll always choose each other. No stupid boy will ever break us. If you get married before me, I'll still be your maid of honor. I rewound that tape 3 times. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just listened, like I was trying to remember what it felt like to be believed. It was then I knew what I had to do. She left me out of her day, so I'd send her something that reminded her who she left behind. Not out of pettiness, not even out of revenge, but because I couldn't carry this weight anymore, and it was always hers to carry. I bought a simple white box. No card, no logo, just clean, unassuming. Inside it, I placed the bracelet, still cracked, still real. The photo, slightly trimmed, so Liam's arm dominated the frame. The cassette. I wrote, "Press play before reading," on the label. And lastly, the letter. It was 8 pages long, written by hand, no edits, no filters. I titled it, "Before You Say I Do." I started softly, like a lullaby. I used to think being your sister was the best part of me. You were the melody to my background, noise. And even now, I still remember what your laugh sounded like when we danced in the rain. Then I turned the page. But somewhere along the way, you stopped hearing me. Or maybe you just stopped wanting to. I told her everything she already knew, but chose to ignore. How Liam had spread lies about me in high school. How those lies followed me. Changed how teachers looked at me. How I missed my own senior prom because of the whispers he started. I reminded her of the night I told her. And she called me jealous. I didn't use angry words, I used facts, memories, because guilt speaks louder when wrapped in kindness, and then I dropped the truth she never saw coming. 2 years ago, my college roommate pulled me aside after too many glasses of wine. She told me that Liam tried to sleep with her. Multiple times. Showed her messages. One of them was from the week you got engaged. I never told you, not because I wanted to protect him, but because I knew you'd find a way to protect him from the truth. I paused in the writing then, not because I didn't know what to say, but because my hands were shaking. The next lines, they came from someplace deeper than anger. You always said I ruined things, stirred the pot, caused trouble. But the truth is, I only ever wanted you to look at me the way you used to, before he taught you how to doubt me. You married the man who erased me and did the same. But I didn't end it with bitterness, because this wasn't revenge, it was release. The final lines were simple and true. I loved you enough to stay silent, maybe too long. This is me, finally speaking. I closed the letter, sealed the box, no return address, just a delivery slip, with the words, "To the bride." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by the window and watched the rain. No, it wasn't poetic. It wasn't cinematic. It was cold and miserable. But in that quiet, something inside me loosened, like an old thread finally snapping free. I didn't know how she'd react. I didn't care, not really, because I hadn't sent her a threat or a warning. I sent her the truth, and once you've sent that, you don't chase it. You just wait for the echo. I didn't plan on watching. I told myself I wouldn't care, wouldn't scroll, wouldn't type her name into the search bar like a masochist. But the moment I opened Instagram, there it was, tag after tag, photo after photo, filtered happiness, pinned smiles, choreographed joy. My sister's wedding. She looked beautiful, radiant in a way that didn't belong to her alone. It belonged to every woman convinced she was walking into forever. I could have cried, but I didn't. I just watched. Calm face, steady breath, but my fingers? They trembled on the screen. In one clip, they're cutting the cake. In another, she's dancing with our father. And then, there's Liam giving a toast, smiling that same smug smile he used to flash before ruining someone's life. I set my phone down and closed my eyes. She had everything. The dress, the guests, the applause. But I had something too. The truth. And it was on its way. It arrived sometime after the champagne was poured and the speeches ended. Mid-reception. Perfect timing. The courier stepped inside like any other hired hand. Pressed shirt, clipboard, blank expression. The box. Wasn't labeled, no card, just clean white packaging with a note on top. To the bride. Her maid of honor brought it to her with a curious smile. The crowd leaned in, thinking it was from some distant relative or old friend. She peeled back the wrapping slowly. First, the bracelet. She froze. Her hand stopped mid-motion as she stared at the cracked silver charm, the very one she tied to. My wrist 15 years ago. Liam leaned over, squinting. What is that? She didn't answer. Just kept unboxing. Next came the cassette. She blinked. It had writing on it. My handwriting. Play before reading. Her lips parted. Her breath caught, but she didn't play it. She set it aside with trembling fingers and pulled out the next item, a folded sheet of paper, the printed copy of the rumor Liam wrote all those years ago. Some guests noticed, some didn't, but the moment she reached the letter, the one marked, in black ink, "Before you say I do," the energy in the room changed. She opened it and began to read. At first it was silent, just her voice, low and steady, speaking aloud the words I had written in my own storm. I used to think being your sister was the best part of me. People turned, conversations paused, the DJ stopped the music. She kept reading. But somewhere, along the way, you stopped hearing me. Or maybe you just stopped wanting to. Her voice cracked. Her hands began to shake. Then she reached the next line. 2 years ago, my college roommate pulled me aside. She told me Liam tried to sleep with her the same week you got engaged. Gasps. A glass shattered somewhere in the background. The air turned razor sharp. Liam's expression shifted from confusion to dread. I never told you. Not because I wanted to protect him, but because I knew you'd protect him from the truth. He lunged. That's a lie, Liam barked, grabbing at the letter. She's lying. This is her being bitter again. But it was too late. People had heard enough. The silence in the room was louder than any scream. The bride, my sister, just stood there, clutching the letter like it had burned her. And then the final twist came. Not from me. From the crowd. A phone was raised. Then, another. Someone had recorded her reading the letter, had caught the entire moment, from the box to the breakdown. A bridesmaid whispered, "It's already online," and just like that, it spread. Within hours, the clip was on TikTok, then Twitter, then YouTube. Captioned, "Bride reads letter from estranged sister, reveals groom's cheating during reception." The comments rolled in. OMG, this is like a movie. Good for her sister, what a queen. This is why you don't ignore red flags. Liam looks like he saw a ghost, lol. Justice, served, cold. The perfect wedding became a spectacle, a cautionary tale, a viral reckoning. I didn't watch the full video. Just enough to see her face fall as she read my final words. I loved you enough to stay silent, maybe too long. This is me, finally speaking. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. Because this wasn't about vengeance. This was about the truth. Finally standing up, even if it had to crash a wedding to be heard. 3 days after the wedding, it rained again. The kind of slow, moody drizzle that clings to the air like something unfinished. I was making tea when I heard the knock. Not frantic, not hesitant, just hollow, like someone who had nothing left to lose. I opened the door and there she was, my sister, still in her honeymoon dress. Makeup streaked, mascara melted into tired skin. No ring on her finger. And in her hand? The bracelet. The one we made during the blackout. The one she was supposed to wear at my wedding. And I at hers. The charm hung by a thread, like the last bit of childhood that hadn't snapped yet. She looked at me for a long time. Neither of us said anything. Her lips parted, closed, parted again. Then, finally, she spoke. I knew what he did. I knew what Liam did before we got married. My breath caught, but I didn't move. I married him anyway, because I didn't want to admit I was wrong. About him. About you. About everything. Her voice cracked halfway through that last word. She held the bracelet tighter, like it might disappear if she let go. I thought if I just ignored the past, it would stop mattering. But you didn't let me forget. You made sure I saw it. All of it. There was pain in her eyes. Real pain. Not the kind you fake for sympathy. The kind you earn when you finally face yourself in the mirror. But I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't offer her a hug or some neat little line about forgiveness. Instead, I said the one thing I'd been holding for years. I wasn't trying to destroy your wedding. I was trying to give you your mirror back. Silence. Heavy. Honest. She looked down at the bracelet again, and I watched as her fingers finally loosened, and she let it fall. It hit the porch wood with a dull clink, then lay still. She turned to go, but paused at the first step. Didn't look back, didn't ask for anything. She just said, I don't think I know who I am without you. Then she left. No dramatic exit. No apologies wrapped in ribbons. Just silence. The kind that speaks louder than anything else. I stood there for a while after she was gone, listening to the rain as it fell on the roof, soft and steady. The truth? I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel vindicated, but I did feel lighter. Some wounds don't bleed, they echo. And some battles don't end with a bang. They end when one person stops pretending the other never existed. I wasn't in her wedding, but I'll always be in her memory, where the truth lives forever.